Vikings Valhalla Season 1 is here on physical media. You gotta love it when they drop physical copies, and that's right. Season 1 is here. It is available now. You get the link in the description there for Amazon if you want to go ahead and get it through them. This is the complete first series. All 8 episodes have been released. This is the creator, showrunner, the writer. You guys know him from Fugitive, Die Hard. His name is Jeb Stuart. He's the one who kind of picks up the pieces from the Vikings franchise to give you sort of like the next saga. 100 years have passed. You have new heroes, new characters, new historic figures coming to life. Valhalla chronicles the heroic adventures of the most famous Vikings who ever lived. Legendary explorer Leif Eriksson, his fiery and headstrong sister Freydis Eriksdotter, I guess is how you say her name, and the ambitious Nordic prince Harald Sigurdsson. The tensions between the Vikings and the English royals reach a bloody breaking point. The Vikings themselves clash over their conflict between their Christian and pagan beliefs. These 3 Vikings begin an epic journey that will take them across the oceans, through battlefields from Kattegat to England and beyond. They fight for survival and glory. Any of you guys a fan of Vikings? You guys watch all of Vikings? I watched a lot of Vikings, but I didn't watch it like in order. It's one of those things I probably need to go back and do. It's like start from the beginning, just kind of go all the way through. At the end of this video, I'll get more into my take on this series and this season. I wanted to hear from you guys as well. So let me run down a few more details here for the Vikings. Valhalla. Sam Corlett is Leif Eriksson. I wasn't really that familiar with a lot of the cast. So this is one of the key artworks, and you can see here on the right is the Leif Eriksson character. His name is Sam Corlett. He kind of looks like he could be a small Hemsworth brother, in my opinion. He's very good, very intense, doesn't have a lot of dialogue in season 1 compared to many of the other characters. On the left is Leo Suter. He plays Harald Sigurdsson. It definitely looks like kind of a different version of like let's see, who am I thinking of? Matthew McConaughey, maybe. Yeah, they're really the kind of the bedrock of the show and hold everything together. All right, this is the third character, Freydis. This is Leif's sister. She's a prominent character as well. She travels with Leif in the beginning of episode 1. They're going to go from their home in Greenland over to where she's going to basically be seeking some revenge. And that's kind of how the season kicks off. So I want to get more into some spoilers and my thoughts on the show now. But again, that link is in the description from Amazon. You can go ahead and get your copy of season 1. It is already out there. This is a blockbuster set that comes with like over 400 minutes of content. It's really, really done well. And I think that the quality of it, if you're a Vikings fan, you want to complete your collection, I think Valhalla Season 1 is something that needs to be headed to your shelf. So when I want to get into spoilers and some other details of my thoughts on the show right now. All right, here you can see Freydis. She's there seeking revenge. She had been sexually assaulted. So it's a Christian that she's after, is taking her to this area. She is not among friends, and she's immediately confronted by Harald because they've picked up on the fact that her and Leif are acting very strange. They kind of misjudge who they're actually going after in the very beginning of the season. But he intercedes and realizes that there's a lot more to this because he's actually had a physical relationship with her. So he kind of knows that she's telling the truth. So the show gets off to a bang. It shows a lot of interesting dynamics, I think, pretty early on between the 3 of them. It's showing their athleticism, their abilities to fight, holding their own within this basically like a light version of like Game of Thrones. I mean, that's the best way to describe where Vikings Season 1 Valhalla is. So all in all, I think all this was done really well. The highlights for me is the fact that everything is just done very well. Great costumes, great design, great performances. Everything is really done well. It sets up a lot of anxiety. Now, when you get to this is kind of where the show kind of takes a little bit of too much of a departure. Now, I know this started back in Vikings at the end, like season 5, season 6. Yes, there were Black Vikings. And yes, there are strong female characters in Viking and Norse law and Norse customs and all that. However, the show just goes way too far. The show goes into like neo-feminist, a whole woman village, a black leader like this. It was just too much. It's so not believable because it's taking something that is true and then exaggerating it for the modern audience. And I think Jeb Stuart is getting out over his skis too much, probably virtue signaling. The strong female trope is out of control. It started in Vikings. It gets out of control at times, and with Freydis in particular. But this character was just insufferable as well, lecturing the men, running this sort of like Amazon Viking village, which is completely insane. And like I said, it's not that they couldn't have been side by side with men, because a lot of the scenes are, and a lot of the scenes are done well. But I think there's also a lot of stuff that was not done well. That was, I don't know, just clearly just overboard. So Olaf is really kind of one of the big season strong points. He's kind of all over the map with where his loyalties lie. Keeps you on the edge of your seat. Performance is really good, like that as well. As you can see, again, all of the design, everything about it is actually super high quality. Like I said, this is sort of like Game of Thrones light. Now, what I like about the show is that when the focus is on Leif and Harald and Olaf and Canute and the king and all that stuff, that actually is interesting. When Freydis goes off on her own and she's some sort of like spiritual, super spiritual Viking Norse god thing or whatever, I was checked out, bored out of my mind. And then she comes back and she ends up, she not only beats the berserker in the earlier scene, because at least they're getting their butts kicked, and then she kind of strangles him. Now they make a line about I strangled him with my necklace later on, and I actually kind of laughed, because when you even say it out loud, it sounds absurd. But then when she wins against the big bad guy, you're like, this is just really, really dumb. And it was just that Mary Sue strong female thing. So that's when the show is at its worst. But it does so many other things, I think, pretty well. What else could I say? What else could I say? But overall, I think I enjoy season one. I will say that Lee's character is probably the most underdeveloped and most interesting. At the end, though, the last Greenlander standing basically is his love interest, Liv. And she takes like a mortal wound. And this whole sequence in this last couple episodes with her and his story arc kind of came out of the blue. Like, I didn't get all the love interest stuff in the first part of the season that they were the couple. There's no makeout scenes. There's no real I love you, hubby dubby type stuff. Like, I don't know where any of that came from. So I didn't feel as an emotional impact of Liv and what was happening at the end of the season, because the setup for that was not really done well. They're just like a bunch of compatriots throughout most of the season, and then suddenly they're a couple, and you're like, okay, I mean, that's fine, but there was no setup for this. So that was kind of rushed and a little clumsy. Harald and them not knowing exactly what they want to do. And again, the historical stuff is a lot of creative liberties, right? So the first battle, I think, is pretty legit. Battle of Kent is probably like an amalgam of 2 or 3, 4 battles. They take down the London Bridge, which is pieces of things I think are pretty valid, but I think a lot of this was creative liberty, but it's a fantastic sequence, visually stunning. It was really done well. And the stuff at the end, like I said, the whole village run by women being overrun by and outsmarted by the Viking men, and then having Freydis take down, and then just running away. Like, so the show was, I think, meh, because it's sort of like a watered down version of Game of Thrones. But if you're into Vikings and you like all that, it does more things right than it doesn't. That's kind of my take on it. So love to hear from you guys. If you're interested in getting a copy or not, again, I put that link in the description. You can get that from Amazon. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Pops.